Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. It is January the 16th, and we're looking at chapter 39 and 40 of Genesis. In these chapters, we have the continuing narrative of Joseph in Potiphar's house, of his temptation and victory in temptation, and of false accusation and suffering in prison. Joseph is taken to Egypt as a slave, and he's sold into the house of the captain of the guard, Potiphar. However, the most significant thing is that the Lord is with him, and everything he does, the Lord causes to prosper. So he was effective. He was so effective that he was entrusted with the rule of all his house. He was, in effect, the butler of the housekeeper. This was going to be a great training for Joseph. When the Lord wants us to do something in our lives, he gives us opportunities to prove ourselves, and he entrusts us with increasing responsibility. And God blessed Potiphar and everything he did for Joseph's sake. Potiphar's wife noticed Joseph and wished to have him. She tempted him and tried to seduce him, but he refused. He told her how could he repay the trust of his master by stealing his wife. He said, "This would not just be a sin against my master, but a sin against God." One day he was alone in the house carrying out his work when Potiphar's wife came in and took hold of his coat. She said, "Lie with me," but he fled and left the coat in her hand. She called the men and accused Joseph of trying to seduce her, and he was thrown into prison. Joseph is like the Lord. He is victorious in temptation. Joseph was put in prison where the king's prisoners were kept, but the Lord was with Joseph in prison and took charge of everything that happened in the prison. Joseph was learning. One day, two new prisoners came into the prison, the king's butler and the king's baker. These two men came under the responsibility of Joseph. Then both men had dreams. Dreams are an instrument of the Lord to reveal his will, and often in the absence of a prophet or the word of God, and especially in a Gentile setting. Joseph said, "The interpretation of dreams belongs to the Lord. Tell me your dream." The chief butler said he saw a vine which had 3 branches, and they burst into flower and bore fruit. And he said, "Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and squeezed them into the cup and gave the cup to Pharaoh." Joseph said, "Oh, well, the interpretation is that in 3 days you will be restored to office as the king's cupbearer. But will you please remember me when you're restored to office?" And he told him his story. The baker was encouraged by the things he heard, and he told his dream. He said, "I saw a man with 3 baskets on his head, but the birds came and ate the bread from the top basket." Joseph said, "In 3 days you will be beheaded, and you will be hung on a tree, and the birds will feed on your body." 3 days later it was Pharaoh's birthday, and he made a feast for all his servants, and he restored the butler and hanged the baker. But the butler forgot about Joseph. You see, the promises of God would not be fulfilled by ordinary human means. God himself would remember Joseph. Now, there's a lot in a passage like this that attracts me and causes me to ponder and to meditate. I want to read just 2 verses. I want to read verse 5. It says, "It came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer of his house and over all he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in his house and in the field." Now, I like that. It's one thing for Joseph to be responsible and to do a good job. It's quite another thing for God to bless the household for Joseph's sake. That is an amazing thing. That's what God did in the life of Joseph, and Joseph must have been encouraged by that. God has put him there, and God is blessing everybody because Joseph is faithful in his work. When Joseph is tempted and he's victorious in temptation, he finds it's a downward step, unfortunately, because he goes to prison. But take a look at 39 verse 40. It says, "But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. And the keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did the Lord made to prosper." When God is with you, he will make everything that you do prosper. That's the point. That doesn't mean to say everything in life is going to go perfectly. If you're a Christian, that's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is this, that if God is in what you do, then he will cause it to prosper. Joseph couldn't make everything prosper. He couldn't make it all prosper. He could be faithful to the Lord in what the Lord had given him to do. If God was going to make it prosperous, then that would be for the Lord to do. And in this occasion, the Lord did. He made everything that Joseph did to prosper. So what a great lesson for us all. And notice what it says. It says in verse 23, "Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him." You see, Joseph thought that his way out of prison was going to be through the chief butler. No, it wasn't going to be that way at all. It was going to be another way. Joseph didn't know everything. He thought he could see a way out, and he tried to make it happen. But it didn't happen that way. If Joseph was going to come out of prison, then God was going to do it. That's exactly what happened in the life of Joseph. Well, there we are. This is the ongoing story. I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. Have a great day. God bless you. Bye for now.